मुस्काते हैं। हम बच्चे हैं फूल सदा मुस्काते हैं। बांटते हैं हम खुशी नाचते गाते हैं। बांटते हैं हम खुशी नाचते गाते हैं। हम बच्चे हैं फूल सदा मुस्काते हैं। हम बच्चे हैं फूल सदा मुस्काते हैं। बांटते हैं हम खुशी नाचते गाते हैं। बांटते हैं हम खुशी नाचते गाते हैं। हम बच्चे हैं फूल सदा मुस्काते हैं। हम बच्चे हैं फूल सदा मुस्काते हैं। प्रभु प्यार में पलने वाले हम हैं रतन निराले। इस धरती की सुख समृद्धि शोभा के रखवाले। प्रभु प्यार में पलने वाले हम हैं रतन निराले। इस धरती की सुख समृद्धि शोभा के रखवाले। आँखों से स्वर्णिम दुनिया दिखलाते हैं। आँखों से स्वर्णिम दुनिया दिखलाते हैं। बांटते हैं हम खुशी नाचते गाते हैं। बांटते हैं हम खुशी नाचते गाते हैं। हम बच्चे हैं फूल सदा मुस्काते हैं। हम बच्चे हैं फूल सदा मुस्काते हैं। आँखों से जो कहता है हम में से हर बच्चा है। जो दिल अपना सच्चा है सब कुछ लगता अच्छा है।
Om Shanti, good morning. Om Shanti Dharani. Jagriti, Om Shanti, good morning.
Om Shanti, good morning.
Active, how are you feeling? Active? Dull? Sleepy? Dharani, how are you feeling? You, how are you feeling? Sleepy? Fan, do you want fan? Okay, Dharani, homework చేసావా? Homework?
No.
No. Did you do? Yeah, come here. Very good. So now, Aditi will explain you what was homework. Who do you remember? Dharani, what was your homework? Jagriti, homework enti?
Remember, I do not remember.
No, I can't hear you. One second. Okay, Jagriti, homework. What was the homework? No, you are not audible. Mute. You are on mute.
I do not remember the homework.
Acha. So,
Amira,
who?
can I tell?
Yeah. Who is this? Satvika? Okay. Chappu.
To meet 4 people.
అది లాస్ట్ హోంవర్క్ కదా. సరే అది చేసావా? 4 కొత్త పీపుల్ ని కలిసాలి, చేసావా? ఇంకా
Something gives me. I didn't remember.
ఏంటి?
I didn't remember.
You don't remember. Now Aditi will explain what was the homework and what she did.
Create a crazy story.
China, did you prepare?
If we can see videos on a phone, why can't we see videos on a remote? If we can see videos in a phone, it have a display that shows us all the videos what we see. But remote don't have a correct display on it. So that's why we cannot see anything on a remote. Just only buttons to press on a TV.
But if you want to see what to do?
We should connect to a TV.
No. If you want to see a display on the remote, if you have a display, you can see, right?
But if we don't have any display, how we could see?
That's what you have to create, no? You have to create a TV plus remote, both together.
If we
like our phone.
If we connect TV and the phone, it will become a big display. But if we connect a
small display, then
if we connect remote and a TV, it will be a small display.
So that's how people invented that phone, right? Initially, the small phone that has both switches and also the display. Yeah, good.
Even second homework is recall what you learned. If we learned first chapter in a computer lesson 1, we should read it again, because if we read it again, we will recall what we learned, then we could remember easily.
Done. ఏంటి సెకండ్ హోంవర్క్ కరెక్ట్ గా? ఎప్పుడు?
అది ఎప్పుడైతే మనం క్లాస్లో ఎప్పుడైతే విని వస్తామో మనం పడుకునే ముందు రీకాల్ చేసుకోవాలి, సో దట్ అది మనకి బాగా గుర్తుంటుంది. చేశాను చాలా టైమ్స్.
So Vedamrita tried that. So whatever happened in the day, you have to recall before the study hour or before you are sleeping. You have to recall what all you learned, what all you did on the same day. All right. So shall we go through a story now? Yes. So there was this guy called Bolu. So that's our favorite guy, right? So all our stories, this fellow will be there. So what he did was, so in his school, somebody asked him to think about something. Okay. So suppose think about spider. So somebody thought about spider and created whole Spider-Man series, right? So somebody asked him to think about spider and tell people what they thought about it. Okay. So everybody in the class were thinking about spider, and this Bolu also was thinking about spider, and he got some really, really good understanding of it or good story out of it. So then everybody started going there and everybody started speaking one after the other. Now it was a chance of Bolu to go and speak. So he went there. All he said was a spider. My spider was. Then he stopped. Why? Why did he stop? He didn't recall. So he was just thinking all the whole time, right? There were given like 20 minutes of time. So he was thinking. He was creating different things. But when he went there, he couldn't remember anything, right? So he couldn't remember. So then he went home. After that, his mother asked him to study a lot of things. Like every subject, he has to study for half an hour. Okay. He went there, he studied everything, and in the night his mother asked, so what did you study? So he was only tell few things. So he had 3 hours study hour. 3 hours study hour లో తనకి ఏం గుర్తులేదు. ఏవో కొన్ని కొన్ని పేర్లు మాత్రమే గుర్తున్నాయి. ఎందుకు అలా అయింది? Because he didn't practice. And any other reason? If we write, we will get practice. Good. Then the next day is a Sunday. His mother asked him to bring lot of things: carrot, potato, wheat flour, everything in quantities, like carrot half kg, potato 1 kg, and lot of other things. So he listened to everything. He repeated in front of his mother, and he went out. And after going to the shop, he forgot what all he has to bring. He doesn't have a phone. So what should he would have done better?
You have to write in a paper.
Write on the
Huh.
paper.
He should have written something on the paper, right? Okay. So now how many sense organs do you have?
5.
What are those?
Eyes, nose, ears,
Hmm.
tongue, and skin.
Eyes, nose, ears, tongue, and skin. So what is meant by a sense organ?
They will sense something.
They will sense something. So now when you are listening in the class, okay, what are all the sense organs that are working?
Ears and vision.
Ears and eyes, that's all.
Eyes.
Mouth,
Ears,
Hand.
eyes
Hand.
and mouth.
ears, eyes, mouth, and hand, right? You write. Skin, right? Skin is everywhere, right? Your hand is also skin. So how many sense organs are working when you are listening to the class? All 5.
Yes.
No, all 5 are working, right? Skin, mouth, nose is also working all the time, right? Nose is working all the time. So apart from that, 4. Okay. So now you came home, you are studying something. How many sense organs are working?
Eyes
Hmm.
and hand.
So eyes, mouth, and hand. So how many of you write when you are studying? Everybody writes, when you are studying. Dharani, here everybody raised a hand in center. Dharani, do you write when you are studying?
No.
No. You, Jagruti?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. So how many sense organs for you? Only 2, right? Eyes and sometimes mouth. Do you read aloud or you don't read aloud when you are studying? You read aloud. You? No. Acha, okay. So at least whatever you are studying, you could hear it, right? So you do that internal loud sounding, right? Yes. How many of you do that? When you are reading, you're actually reading to yourself. So there are 2 ways of reading silently. One, just eyes are reading. 2, when you are reading, you could hear yourself, right? Which type do you do? Internally we could hear, right? So I couldn't do the first one. So I rarely just read with the eyes. So whenever I am reading, I repeat the same thing within myself. Who is that making sound? Satvik, ఉన్నవా నువ్వు? సాధన్, సాత్విక్
Yes,
ఉన్నారు కదా? వింటున్నారా? నీకు అర్థం కాకపోతే చెప్పు. ఓకే?
Okay.
All right. Where are we? So reading silently, there are multiple ways of reading silently, you know. So some people very fastly, they read with their eyes. They don't actually hear themselves. Okay. So if you are reading a novel or something very fastly, people don't listen to themselves. So whatever I do, I can't read like that. So even if I read like that, I don't remember anything. So what I do when I am reading, I actually repeat it myself inside. So my reading pace is slower, but my remembering time will be longer because I am hearing also, right? So when number of sense organs increases, participation, the more you recollect and remember. Okay. So when you are watching a movie, how many things are working? How many of your sense organs are working?
Ears, eyes.
Ears and eyes, right? But you still remember that. Why?
Because we like.
Because in seeing also there could be different things. So when you are reading, you see text, right? But when you are watching a movie, what do you see? You see the movement, right? You see graphics, you see people moving, you see people talking, all these things. So that will engage your intellect. Last time we discussed, right? So we will have mind and intellect, two things. When both are engaged together, you are very, very focused. So at the same time, the number of sense organs participating will also increase the activity of your intellect and mind to stay together. Okay. So suppose you are listening something and you are writing it down. Can you write if you are not focused?
No.
No, right? So there was one experiment done. So what they did was, so in one gym, one fellow was jumping on a spring. So they displayed this video. One fellow was just jumping on a spring and they asked everybody to count how many times he is jumping. Okay. So everybody started counting. So meanwhile, in the video, they created a graphic such that a gorilla walks in, walks out. Okay. So after the video was done, he jumped like 10 to 12 times. So they asked people how many times did he jump. Everybody answered accurately. Like he jumped 11 times. And people asked them, did you observe the gorilla? So gorilla is something we have to observe, right? If it is in a screen, we generally tend to observe. People and gorilla are there, we see gorilla first, right? But in that case, nobody observed gorilla. Why? They are focused on that fellow jumping, counting how many times he is jumping, right? So when you say I was distracted, it was not the environment or the situations that is making you distracted. What is making you distracted? Your own mind. Huh? So in the movie, eyes are watching everything, but wherever your attention goes, only that you remember. Okay. So now Bolu was thinking continuously, why I am not remembering, why I can't do things properly. Everybody is able to do, why I am not able to do all those things. Like he's studying very hard, learning everything, sitting for long hours, but still after going to the exam, he's not remembering everything. Right? So what should Bolu do now? Now
Read something perfectly.
read something perfectly. Okay. So now we came to know about this tool, right? About this new technique where the number of sense organs involved increases. The more you are engaged, the more you are focused, the more you remember, right? So now the answer to the Bolu's problem was, so whenever he is reading something or learning something, he has to write down few important things, right? And whenever he is listening to the class, make sure that he is writing whatever is happening in the class. Okay. So why writing is very, very important? Do you know? Why? Suppose I am coming to this class.
Easily and fastly.
Hmm?
Because we can learn easily and fastly.
We can learn not faster, because if you read faster, right? When you are writing, it takes time, but you can remember longer. Okay. So my parents used to say when I was small that reading 100 times is equal to writing once. Okay. And listening to the class once is equal to reading 100 times. So if you are carefully listening to the class properly, actually you need not actually study anything. So everything in the textbook is being taught in the class, right? In a much more better manner. So how many of you listen to classes very, very carefully? How many of you like listening to the classes? You all like? Sure. You listen to everything very carefully? Why? What all the things you remember when you are listening to the class? Vedamrita? What are the other things that comes to your mind when you are listening to the class? Like why, like how you listened to my question last time. So what are the things coming to your head? What was the lunch? What will be the lunch? And what will be the TV show today evening? What am I going to watch? Right? So I asked you to create a crazy story. You create crazy ideas when you are listening to the class, right? Most of the time, right? So that happens with everybody generally. So when I was in school, we used to have this channel called Toon Disney. So now it's not there. So along with Cartoon Network, there was this Toon Disney also. So there was all this Power Ranger stuff, all this happening in those days. So people were so addicted to it. Okay. So whenever people used to listen to the classes, they used to imagine that they are those Power Rangers and they used to fight. And cricket, people follow cricket. So we used to think about cricket, that we imagining we are batting, we are bowling, all these things. So end of the day, what happened? We don't remember what happened in the class, So that's a very bad thing. We should never do that. Okay. But that tends to happen most of the time. We tend to think something else. Okay. So now what we have to do, we know that we tend to do. Now we know that we are doing all those things. What can we do now? Now we know the importance of listening, right? So all your sense organs are completely involved, then you can understand everything. So how much time do you go to tuition? 2 hours, that's all. After coming home, do you study? No, you? You will not study at home also. Acha, okay. So how many of you go to tuitions? Jagriti, do you go to school tuition? No. Satvik, no. Dharani, you?
No.
No, you study at home. How much time?
2 hours.
2 hours only. Satvik, how
2
much time you
hours.
study? Jagriti?
Sometimes 2 hours.
Okay. Jagriti, do you study at least in the evening? You don't study, right?
In the 7 o'clock, I start to study.
Acha. You started studying. Okay.
7 o'clock.
Uh-huh. So when I was in school, I used to study from 6 o'clock to 9 every day without break. So that was so habituated. So even if you don't have anything to study, we used to just sit. So me and my sister. So our rule in our house was you should sit from 6 to 9 in front of book. Simple. So we used to talk sometimes. We used to share a few things sometimes. We used to play sometimes. So all you need is you have to sit. But that actually helped us. So whatever homeworks were there, we used to do it very quickly. So my sister was elder to me. So she used to have more homework, more syllabus. So sometimes when I was bored, I used to see those books as well. And my sister, she had this ability of listening to the classes very nicely. So even if she doesn't study, she can pass the exam definitely. That too with very good marks. So whatever she listens, she completely recalls everything inside her head. So she used to explain her concepts also sometimes to me. So when she is reading science or social or history, I was so interested in history. So she used to explain all those things. So these 3 hours, though we were just sitting without studying, our conversations used to be around studies only. Okay. So that created some sort of interest. So you also fix the time. Even you don't have any homework to do, make sure that you are roaming around the same subject. Okay. So like how I asked you to create a crazy story last time. So if you are reading something, so what happened in the last week in your science textbook? Which chapters were completed last week? Dharani? Skin. Skeleton system. Okay. So skeleton system is very, very interesting topic, right? So now you recall everything that happened. Why? That's our body, right? You should remember everything in that. If you have listened properly. Huh? Did you draw something? Like brain, skull, bones, heart? Because eye and brain. Okay. Did you draw? Okay, cool. So why our books are like that? Few images, few text, because it was designed to engage us, few questions will be there. So have you ever tried answering those questions without reading your material just after the class?
Yes.
Yes. So after the class, what you do, before studying, directly go to the last, read the questions and try to answer yourself. Okay. Can you try that? Simple, right?
Yes.
Every day before studying the chapter, go to the end, see what are the questions, see if you are able to answer it. Because you have already gone through that, right? Okay. So now our Bolu's problem was he was not remembering it very easily. So now I am coming here. I will tell you how I prepare. Okay. So now I have to come here. I have to speak for 1 hour. Okay. So what I would be doing, I'll practice. Practice what?
What topic you want to talk?
Okay. What topic? And how do I decide the topic? I'll think about what? So I'll tell you my process, tell me what we should take from that process. Okay. So first thing I'll think is when I was in 6th, 5th, 6th standard, what were the mistakes that I was doing? What were the things I don't know at that point of time? I'll try to think what are the most important things that I should be knowing at that age, but I didn't know. But later on I came to know. Okay. So then I'll fix about some topic out of that. So last week's topic was memory and concentration, right? So why that topic was, so I felt that people read a lot, they spend a lot of time, do a lot of hard work, but they don't know the exact tool, the technique, how to remember things, how to be focused in their time. Okay. So people are so distracted in this world. So attention span of a human being these days is 8 seconds, it seems. Goldfish attention time is 9 seconds, it seems. So we are more distracted than a fish. Okay. So why that distraction? Because we don't know the value of being focused. When you are completely focused on something, you can create a lot of wonders out of it. So that's why I chose that topic. Now, today's topic is writing skills, right? So why we should write? So why I got that topic was I was thinking what I was doing wrong then. So one thing that comes to my mind was I was not at all writing anything new. So whatever is there in textbook, I was writing those things, but nothing out of the box, nothing out of the textbook or nothing out of the homework. But what I came to know later on was, so when I was watching few movies, when I was in college, I used to note down some very good dialogues out of it. Okay. So I have the book now. So when I read that book now, apart from the story, all this movie, all these things, whatever I have written, so that seems very, very valuable to me. I have learned a lot of things by writing those things. Okay. If I would not have written, I was just watching the movie, I will never recall all those things, right? Now I have a book. I still remember most of the dialogues. I still remember where I have to use all those techniques that I have written. Okay. So we used to watch these cartoon movies, right? Kung Fu Panda, Batman, Spider-Man, Avengers, all these things. So there used to be some very, very nice dialogues in it. Have you watched Kung Fu Panda? Kung Fu Panda is more like a very mentoring kind of movie. So there will be Panda who is always thinking, I can't do anything. I may not be doing everything. Am I suitable to this or not? Always questions. So the whole 3-part series, they'll be continuously motivating that fellow. Situations, make sure that he'll perform better. Okay. So there will be a lot of interesting dialogues. So I used to write so that I could remember those things, right? And since I have it, I can recall them. And the other important thing was, so if somebody asks you to speak about nature, okay. So when I was in school, I was not very good in speaking, or I was not very good in making the speeches. I used to go to my father, ask him, this is a topic, can you write and give me? So my father used to write and give me. I used to go there and speak sometimes, not every time also. Unless it is 100% necessary to speak, then only I'll speak. Otherwise, I never raised my hand. So then I came to know later on was, if you start writing something, so nature, if you keep the heading nature and start thinking about it, you yourself can make some really, really good things out of it. And my father used to ask me to read books regularly. So there used to be a lot of books in my house because my father reads a lot. So he used to give me a book Sunday morning when he is going to work. And I used to keep that on a table. Not even a single page I used to open. I used to just keep it there, watch television. And evening my father comes and asks, what did you study? I used to say, I didn't study anything. Okay. So that's one more thing I was lacking at that point of time. Reading books is really fun. You can really enjoy reading books. Okay. So writing skill, why I picked today was, if you write, you're actually engaging your mind and intellect, which was related to last week's topic, memory and concentration. So to improve memory and concentration, one more technique is writing. So if you start writing, you are very, very focused. You can't even imagine how much you could create out of it, So Swami Vivekananda says, all the knowledge is already inside human mind. We don't know. We don't ignite it. Right? So when we try to go within and explore, we can create all those ideas. So gravity a very big concept? Anybody, even a small kid understands it, right? So then why it took centuries and centuries to actually create some gravitational law?
Because they were not knowing that and they want to search that, so it took time.
Because people were observing, but they were not paying attention. Why it is falling? They were not asking any question, why? So when you randomly think about something, you can't actually go deeper. So when you start writing, you will ask some deeper questions to yourself. So if you think apple fell down, okay, apple fell down. But if you write apple fell down, you will immediately get a lot of questions. Why did it fall? How did it fall? Where did it fall? Right? So that's one more important thing about writing. Now what I do after figuring out the heading was, I will think where I am using this skill and where I should be using that skill. Okay. So whatever I am speaking here today, it's like a lecture for myself also, where I could improve, So then I try to take a paper. In the middle of the paper, I write writing skills. And then I keep a lot of arrows, to visually see. So I will write like this. Then I will start picking multiple aspects from it. So first one, why we should write. Second one, how, what is a methodology for writing? Then when and where we should be using this skill. Then I'll think about where this is going to help me. Then I'll think about what are the advantages of it. Then most important, what are the best practices of writing? Okay. Practices in the sense, the list of tools. What are the different tools and how do we use it? So when you start thinking about some topic like this, you are actually creating memory maps. Your brain itself answers most of the things, you know. You need not actually go and read something and then know. You already know most of it, right? So how many of you think you can answer 70% of all these things? Yes? No? No. You can actually write. So why should we write? So far you told me why we should write, right? So when I asked how Bolu can improve, you told me the answer. I didn't tell you, right? Vedamrita told that if he write, he could remember. If he can make a list in a paper, he could remember, right? So if you start asking questions and spend some time with this topic, you can create a lot of content out of it, you know. So then apart from this knowledge, so this can give you around 50 to 60% of knowledge. So most important thing is this. So for this, you need to explore some scientific research or what are the other practices that other people are doing, all these things, right? So, Vedamrita is asking, how could we elaborate the answer? You know, so simple. So if you can understand the topic very well, you can create how much ever topic you want, you know, but the pattern, how you are approaching that is important. So tell me one question, anything. So what is meant by friction? Aditi, do you know what is friction? Do you know? You don't know? So friction is the tension. So first question I ask myself is, what is friction? Right? Your brain answers that. So you write it down. So first, a definition of friction is the tension between or the forces between two surfaces, one opposing the other, right? Basically, briefly to say. So right now I am holding a pen in my hand. Why isn't this falling down? Because I am holding it. No. Because of gravity, it should fall down. But why it's not falling? Aditi? Why this pen is not falling from my hand?
Because you're catching that.
Because I am holding it, you know. So when I am holding, what are the different things acting on this? So if you hold an ice cube very tightly, what will happen? It will jump out of your hand, you know. You can't actually hold it. So one is cool because it is so cool you can't hold it. That's a different thing. Suppose you don't have that feeling of feeling cold, and if you are holding the ice, what will happen? It will slide away, you know. So when I am holding this pen like this, one thing I am giving pressure a little bit to hold this. Two, there is friction between my finger and the pen surface, you know. If this pen is absolutely smooth, it looks smooth, but in a microscopic level, it's not smooth. If it is smooth, it can't actually stay here. It will fall down. So that's friction. So when you are writing about friction, now you understood the friction, right? So friction is the resistive forces between two surfaces. So that's why we hold something. Or I'm walking like this, I'm doing like this. I'm sliding actually. So there also I'm experiencing the friction. Otherwise my leg would have fallen back. Okay. So now your chair is a bit slant towards back, right? Right? But why are you not falling back? Because there is friction between the chair and your dress. So that's not allowing you to go back, you know. So friction is everywhere. Whatever we are doing, I'm holding the mic, friction is holding it. So now, in order to write something about friction, okay, first thing you ask yourself is, what is friction? Okay. Then you will get the definition. Then where are these friction forces acting? So you can have hundreds of examples around you. So you write about 2 examples. Okay. So friction is this, there and there is friction. I am holding the pen and writing, which means the frictional force is actually not allowing the pen to slide away, right? You can write that. So first thing, what is friction? Where friction is being used, and what are the advantages of friction? Next one. So you have the examples now. Now think about how friction is helping us. So entire thing in this world, name it car is able to move forward because there is friction. Suppose if there is no friction, what will happen? Car wheel is rotating. There is no friction between car wheel and ground. What will happen? Wheel keeps on rotating, but it can't move forward. Wheel slids when there is no friction, right? There will be skidding. That's all. You can't actually move forward. Similarly, friction is everywhere. Whatever we are doing, there is friction in the air as well. So when I'm moving my hand, actually air is also giving some resistance to me, right? So where did we come from? First, what is friction? Then what are the examples to see around? Then where friction is useful to me? Then think about what you learned, right? The formula for friction is force by area. So why force by area? What is numerator? What is denominator? So if you start asking yourself a lot of questions, so why, what, when, where, you yourself can create a lot of content out of it, you know. So you always don't think that whatever I study, that only I should write. Right. So what are the disadvantages of friction? Now we have seen the advantages of friction. So what are the disadvantages? If there is no friction, you know, or very, very little friction, okay, you need not change car tires frequently. Okay, because there is no friction, there won't be much wear and tear. Right? And how much fuel do you need? Why all that fuel? Fuel is to overcome that frictional forces between car and ground, right? If the friction is less, you can go at a lesser consumption of fuel with lesser energy. But if it is very less, you can't go at all. So friction, it should be always within the limits. If it is more, there will be a lot of disadvantages, like fuel consumption is more. And what else? What else could be the reason? So if I hold your hand like this, damage of machines. If I hold your hand like this very tightly, if you are dragging it, so will it tear your skin? No, right? So our skin level of friction is such that when something is holding very tight, now I am holding my finger very tight, but I am able to move it apart. Okay. If there is more friction, my skin comes out. You know, if there is less friction, I can't even hold it. So friction should always be within limit. Suppose with the same thing, if there is lot of friction on my hand, every day you will encounter some hundreds of injuries in your hand itself. Because we hold a lot of things, right? We hold a lot of things. We drag it. If there is more friction here, my skin would have torn by now, right? So those are the disadvantages. You look around, you find a lot of things. Okay. So Vedamrita's question was, how can we elaborate something? So if you are writing exam, you know something briefly, how can you write it in more detail? So you write all those things by asking a lot of questions. Okay. Aditi, you understood? What did you understand? If you want to elaborate something, what should we do? Ask questions. Okay. So ask yourself a lot of questions. So now I have to talk about this writing skill. First thing I did was I asked a lot of questions to myself. Right? So first thing, why writing skill? Then how, when, where, what are the tools, all these things. So if you start asking a lot of questions, you yourself get a lot of content. Okay. So now she asked a very, very important question, you know. How can we understand things at a deeper level? So there is a concept called design thinking, you know. Design thinking is a technique people use to solve very, very complex problems, you know. So suppose there is poverty in the country, right? So there is poverty in the country, you all know? Yes, no? We all know, right? So it's a problem. How do we solve it? Aditi, how do we solve it?
Borrowing money
By
from
money,
other
but we have
countries.
limited amount of money, right? So any problem in this world comes when it comes up, very good thinkers come together and they start asking a lot of questions to it. So first thing they ask is, why poverty? Why there is poverty in the country? They'll have some 10 reasons for it and they'll go deeper. Why each reason? So they call it root cause analysis, So questions are a very, very important thing that helps you to write. Okay. And where did we come from? Okay, about this topic, So that's how I make the topic. I'll do some kind of research on the techniques, So other parts we know how it's happening. So because you have seen that, you know how it works. But regarding the techniques, you need to study, I told you 60 to 70% you can create it. But 20 to 30% you need the techniques. You have to learn from something. Okay. If you already know, okay. If you don't know, you have to read it. All right. So now writing is a skill, is an important skill, we understood. But what are the tools for writing? Now we know the advantages, we know the disadvantages. If you are not writing, you can't hold the content longer. Now tell me, what are the different tools? So today's homework is very, very important for you, okay? So today's homework, you need to create few things. You need to write few things that I'll tell you. The first one is gratitude journal. So you know Abhinav Bindra? Who is Abhinav Bindra? You don't know? Anybody? So Abhinav Bindra is the first individual to win a gold in Olympics for India. He won gold in shooting. Okay. So for us, the shooting seems to be simple, but it's very, very tough competition, So for them, 1 millimeter, less than 1 millimeter is their scope. We see these round circles, right? In the center, there will be a bullseye. Around that, there will be a lot of circles. So inside that smallest circle, so you know how long that will be, how big that circles are? Not like how we see in the exhibitions, and they won't be very, very big. There will be a very small plate. On that plate itself, there will be like 5-6 circles. So that plate will be at a distance. So a small paper, like 1/4 of your paper, A4 sheet, half, 1/4 of that sheet. So they'll place it at a distance. So all these champions, they differ only, they won't even come out of that inner circle, Everybody will be inner circle, but how close to the center is their variation. Okay. So this guy, Abhinav Bindra, he explained it in his biography, saying that, so you fail a lot of times. So when you are performing at that level, you fail hundreds of times. So do you know Dhoni, successful captain? Yes or no? How many of you say Dhoni is a successful captain? Yes, no? He is a successful captain, right?
Yes.
So his winning percentage was around 50. How can he become successful? How many marks did you get in science in the recent exam? 20? 20 out of 20. So 100%. So how many marks did you get? 60 out of 75. So how much percentage that is? 85. So your percentage is better than Mahendra Singh Dhoni. So 50, around 50 is a very small percentage actually. But He is one of the most successful captain in the country. How did that happen? So Abhinav Bindra says, so we get lot of name not because of our failures, because we fail hundreds and thousands of times. We get name because of our winning thing. So whatever I am winning. So he participated in 3 Olympics. He won only 1. He failed it twice. Which percentage is more? 1% is less, but we all remember it, right? So how many generations it's going to stay? Even after 100 years, he will be the first Indian to win a individual gold, right? So his intent was, we fail a lot of times. So if you are continuously failing, what will be your state of mind? Aditi, if you are failing continuously, so what will be your state of mind? क्या सोचते हो आप? We should try again and again is what Aditi is saying. So in 1 year, you are failing every single day. Every single day you are going, you are performing, you are failing. What will be your state of mind? You will be disappointed, right? Discouraged. Whatever I am trying, this is not working out. I'm giving a lot of effort. I'm planning a lot of things, doing everything as per what people are saying or my teachers are saying, but things are not going out. So what he developed the habit was, so whenever he used to feel good, he used to write it down. That today this thing happened, I was so happy. Okay, whatever may be the good thing, he used to list it down every single day. So whenever he was disappointed after a lot of failures, he used to open that book and read all those things. So that used to give him a lot of motivation. It's like in complete darkness, you have a candle in your hand. So that is giving you the path. So his narration was, everybody in their life faces a lot of situations where they fail. Only few things we succeed, At least for students, you don't go through all that. For you, only getting 90, 85 above is the only challenge. It's not like there is no failure or something for you, right? But when you are very, very disappointed, these things help you, is what he says. He says, this gratitude journal actually made me what I am today. Because when so Olympics happens once in 4 years. So for 4 years, you will be continuously practicing every single day, giving all your 100% effort. You go there and you fail. So it's like failing over 4 years period, right? So suppose for an exam, you prepared for 4 years and you failed. What will happen? We'll be very, very disappointed, right? So he tried it multiple times, like 4 years failed, 4 years failed, then 4 years he won. After that 4 years again failed. So failures are very common for us, but our attitude when we fail is important. Okay, how we approach failure. So he says this gratitude journal will help us a lot when we are actually not feeling good. Okay, what could we write in this gratitude journal? So your homework is, every day write 3 things in this gratitude journal. Any 3 things that happened good to you. Suppose I was coming here, so I was late actually because I had a meeting. So I didn't actually see the time because I was presenting in the meeting, So then after the meeting, suddenly when I saw it was 9:15. So I thought, I came very late. I should have at least informed. Then I called Bala's sister, She very casually said, okay, come up now. She didn't say anything. Why are you late? You should inform me at least, all these things. So that's a good thing, right? So when you call somebody, when you make a mistake and they take it very open-mindedly without judging or anything, that's a good thing that happened to me today, right? Right. So now treating things differently, sometimes you are late, you come there and you apologize, saying that I was sorry, I was late. If the other person says you should have at least informed, how do you feel? You are already late, you are already feeling bad for it. Then somebody says again bad things to you, you feel much more bad. And when you go there, somebody says it's okay, carry on now. Then you will feel much better, right? So that's a good thing happened to me. I can write it down. See, I'm giving an example because you can write very, very small good things happen to you in your life. There could be multiple good things that are happening around us. So suppose you had a very nice breakfast today, the one that you like the most. So that also you can write it down, that I'm very happy that today I got this. So gratitude journal is listing 3 things that happened to you today that are you are very happy about having them in your life. Could be anything as small as you are waiting for an auto. You are already late, you are waiting for an auto. When you come onto the road, suddenly auto came and stopped in front of you and you immediately took that auto, which is a good thing happened to you, right? So any good thing happened to you today? Think, it could be very, very small. You wake up early, which is a good thing you feel. You can write it down. I woke up early today, I'm happy about it. And anything else? You had your breakfast? No, you have to have it? No. Okay. So anything good that happened to you today? Okay. Acha, today your favorite breakfast is dosa. What else? You came here, you listen to the class, you learned something new. That is also a good thing, right? You can write it down. I learned this thing now. I feel better about it. So anything, right? Any 3 good things that happen to you, and you must write this, every single day. Will you write? Promise? You should not forget again. Should I remind in the WhatsApp group in the middle of the week? No need, right? So far, none of you done even a single homework that I was giving. Only Aditi made one homework. Today also she did the homework. Only she is a student who follows homeworks properly. And I am giving very, very small homeworks, So this homework, you try it and see. Okay. Try 3 very good things that happen to you the whole day. So since it's very morning today, you may not have seen anything. But going forward, you might experience something the whole day, right? Write 3 good things every single day. So today after going home, take a new book and start writing it. Okay. From the front side, gratitude journal. So the second technique is every week, try to write something about something. Anything. It could be anything. You can create fiction also. Okay. Apart from your studies. Can you write? So in my school, from 8th class onwards, you have all this Sandulu, Samasalu. You have Telugu? Yes. Means? Third language Telugu. You don't have it. English? So English, what I used to do, you have lot of meanings, right? For every chapter, you have meanings to remember. You have it? We used to have that. So what I used to do, whenever I was bored, I used to read all those words, take all the rhyming words together and create poems. So I used to write a lot of poems only out of those words. Acha, very good. So Vedamrita says in her school, every day they give you 2 new words and she creates paragraph out of it, a story out of it. Good. Yeah. Next Sunday she'll bring and explain it to us. So what I used to do, for English I was not doing, only for Telugu. In Telugu, we used to have this lot of grammatical things where you have a lot of words in it. Like we call it Sandulu, Samasalu, Pariye Padalu, Nanardhalu, all these things. Anybody aware of it? Okay. So Nanardhalu means the opposite. So Nanardhalu means the opposite of the word. In English, we write opposites, right? Similarly, in Telugu, we have Nanardhalu, where for each word, you should at least write 2 or 3 opposites. And Pariye Padalu means meanings. For each word, you should write 2, 3 other words so, which gives a similar meaning. So what I used to do now right. So what I used to do, I used to take some topic, some random topic from somewhere, like nature or mother or father or anything, or about the subject itself. So if I was reading about some good story, so in Telugu, what we have stories with some moral, right? Sanskrit, you have Sanskrit? Sanskrit, what do you have? You have stories with some moral meaning in it. So I used to take that moral meaning and I used to create lot of poems from the book itself. So after my 10th class, I rarely write poems, but in 10th class, I was regularly writing lot of poems. So why I was able to write was I used to have lot of words in front of me. So what I used to do, I used to pick all the rhyming words from the textbook. I was not actually having good vocabulary also, but I was actually depending on it. So when I started going through that, writing all poems, now my father asked me sometimes, how do you know Telugu so much? So I never read books. I never did anything to learn Telugu better. But my words are better sometimes. He feels. So this generation, nobody is using those words. I was using that. So he asked me how. I don't know what was the reason. I think this was helping me. So because I was picking all those words from the textbook, I somehow subconsciously remember it because I wrote poems right out of it. I don't remember the poems. I don't have it also. So I used to write those poems in rough book, I used to write it, feel happy and throw it. I never showed it to anybody. Sometimes my mom saw it because she used to see my books, She used to say, hey, this is nice. And she used to show it to my father also. So my intent of selling this thing was, I wrote something when I was small and without any meaning, just for time pass, just to, what do you say, pass that 3-hour study hour time. I used to do these kind of things because you don't have much other things when you are small, right? So those words I still remember sometimes subconsciously. I don't know how I remember also because I was using them in poems. I remember them. So write something every week. It could be a poem, it could be a paragraph, it could be a speech. Okay, from your vocabulary, like your textbooks. You see the textbook, pick the words out of it. It could be Hindi, English, Telugu, anything, whatever you wish. But one new thing you have to write every week. It could be 4 lines also. So doha will be there in Hindi. You have doha in Hindi? Yes? No? Like 2 lines poems. They're like, they sound poetic. So you have this Guru Govind Dou Khade Kake Lago Paye Balihari Guru Govind Diyo Bataye. I read this in 5th class. I still remember it because it was sounding so nice, right? And I read that thousands of times. So I remember it very nicely. So these kind of 2-line things also you could write, but it should be a little bit poetic or something. You can create short stories also. So now Bolu fellow, whatever I told you, it was all made up, right? That was not a real story or that fellow doesn't exist. But based on our content, I was making up all those stories from Bolu. Okay. So write small stories, write some small poems from your textbook only. So when you're reading, you come across a lot of vocabulary. Pick all the vocabulary that sounds similar, write it down together, then make the phrases behind it. Simple technique to write poems, Can somebody bring me poem next week? Yes? I will also try. Okay. So second homework is write something once in a week. You should definitely write. You can create stories. See, Bahubali story was written by his father. So very simple story, right? There is nothing much in that story. Dialogues, the way it was shown, the music, that was good. Story was very basic story, right? We all have been seeing much more bigger stories also. So can you also write something like that? Okay, not Bahubali. You write something out of your own mind, So when I was in engineering college, I created a fellow called B-Man. Honeybees are there, huh? So that fellow is Bee-Man, He can control all the honeybees. Ant-Man released after that. So I had this concept of a Bee-Man because I want to destroy all the terrorists in the world. So my intention was I will create small bees out of robots. So if the bee go there and it can self-blast, it can self-destruct itself. So I can go near that wrist and I can make the bee blast. So I created a lot of, because I was watching a lot of Power Rangers, I told you, right? So that influence and this robotic concepts I was studying, I combined these two and created that fellow Bee-Man. Later on, Ant-Man came up, right? In Avenger series, there is Ant-Man also, who controls ants. He can become small, he can become big. But in my concept, it's like robot bees, hundreds and thousands of robot bees that can go there and save people, do all sorts of good things. So in my college, I had this intention of killing terrorists, but now if you ask me, I changed all that concept, So you need not kill anybody, Terrorists are formed because they were brainwashed by some individuals. So if you are able to change those individuals, you can change the terrorists as well, So peace is such a strength. You can do anything with peace, love and compassion, right? So if you can make this world more loving, more compassionate, more peaceful, none of all these bad things will happen, So your generation's target is that. So our previous generations thought with greater power comes greater security. But today's new thought is, what if nobody had the weapons? Nobody will fight, right? So if the new generation thinks after 100 years, all the new generation comes together and thinks that let's not have these weapons, let's throw everything away. And if they destruct everything, so nobody will fight, right? So we have to create societies whose foundation is so strong. Foundation is always about values, not about weapons, all these things. All right? Think about that. You will come to understand some really, really good insights. What if there is a world, there is no weapon? How will that world look like? So create an essay out of it. Okay. The next third one, most important thing is every day write a letter to God. So every night before sleeping, you take your book, mention all the things that happened. So write a letter to addressing to God. So God is our friend, right? So talk to him, telling him that these things happened, these things I didn't do well, these things I did well. So next time I don't want to repeat these things. I'm going to make this better. So I always have your strength with me so that I can achieve anything. So in that manner, write a letter to God. Okay. So next week, we'll discuss a little bit deeper about this third point, where we'll write a letter to God and also why to write a letter to God, how to write a letter to God. But this week you understood, right? Every day before sleeping, you write a letter to God saying what all the things that you did that day, good, bad, everything. What are the resolutions that you thought? Suppose today I wasted 2 hours. I'll write that. Today, 2 hours, I wasted 2 hours. But tomorrow I want to improvise myself. I don't want to waste time. Let's see how much I'll go forward. So when I wake up the next day, I'll have that in my mind, right? So I wasted yesterday, so I should be more careful today. So these are 3 homeworks for you. Will you do? Simple? Yes. So overall writing skill is to engage your mind and intellect better. The more you write, the more you become habituated to it. It's not very, very difficult, So these days, the number of people writing books has fallen so drastically because our generation, I mean, people who are born after 1990, they don't have this habit of writing at all. So we got telephones, we speak, we rarely write letter. Did you write a letter anytime? So your grandparents stay in Vijayawada, right? You can write a letter once, right? Instead of talking in a phone, write them a letter saying that our school, these are the things. So no WhatsApp. You have to write a physical letter, post them, and see how they feel. So can we do that? Can we write a letter to our grandparents? Yes. Yes, Jagruti.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's one more homework, fourth homework for this week. Write a letter to your friend or grandparents or family or somebody. Okay. And post it. Can you do that? You know the post office there, right? You know, or you don't know how to post a letter. So you go to the post office. If you tell them the address, they'll give you a stamp. 5 rupee stamp, 10 rupee stamp, 20 rupee stamp, lot of stamps will be there, 1 rupee stamp, and they will stick it and they'll post it. And if you go to the post office, they'll give you the postcard also. Huh. Yeah. Yes. So you can write in that. So card will be very small. You can write also very, very small things in it. And you can just post it, right? Can you do? Yes. Okay. All right. So shall we meditate for a couple of minutes? Yes. Okay. Sit very, very comfortably. Dharani, she's not listening. Okay. Satvik, homework Jasava next week? He left. Okay. So sit very, very comfortably. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Slowly breathe out. Take a deep breath again. Slowly breathe out. Feel your body. Your body is very, very comfortable. Very, very calm. Very pleasantly seated. Take a deep breath again. Slowly breathe out. Look at your body from the legs to the head. Every part is relaxing a lot. Very, very comfortable, very, very relaxed. No pressure, no stress, no tension, nothing. Very, very calm. Now tell yourself, I feel so, so light. I don't have anything at this point on my head. Very clear, very calm. Take a deep breath and observe the breathing. Now, I know the concepts about the memory, focus, concentration, and few techniques to improve it. This week, I'm going to focus on my writing. Whenever I am listening to the classes, I write notes. Whenever I am studying something, I write few important things in it. This week, I'm going to write some brilliant things. Maybe a small short story, could be a small poem, could be anything, but I will try to write something this week. And tell yourself, every day night before sleeping, I will start writing to God, saying what all the things that happened, good, bad, everything, and what are the things I wanted to change. I will start writing. Every day I will definitely write. It could be even a single line, it's okay. But I will develop this habit of writing every single day. Take a deep breath. Slowly breathe out. Take a deep breath again. Slowly breathe out. Feel that God's power is showering on you. He is always by your side, the most powerful, the most loveful, the blissful. He is always by my side. I need not fear anything because my friend, God is with me. Feel that all the powers are falling on you and you are becoming very, very powerful. Take a deep breath again. Slowly breathe out. Om Shanti. Enjoy your Sunday. Bye bye.